الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام الأتمان الأكملان على نبينا محمد وعلى أصحابه وأزواجه وأتباعه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين وسلم تسليما كثيرا مزيدا مباركا حتى تقوم الساعة. أما بعد، حياكم الله وبياكم أحبتي في الله. We continue with the tafsir of Surah Al-Ahqaaf, particularly ayah number 15 and 16. 13? عفوا 13 and 14. تفضل.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. إن الذين قالوا ربنا الله ثم استقاموا فلا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون أولئك أصحاب الجنة خالدين فيها جزاء بما كانوا يعملون. Indeed, those who have said, Our Lord is Allah, and then remained on a right course, there will be no fear concerning them, nor will they grieve. Those are the companions of paradise, abiding eternally therein as reward for what they used to do.
أي إن الذين أقروا بربهم وشهدوا له بالوحدانية والتزموا طاعته وداموا على ذلك, meaning those who acknowledged their Lord. Shukran, jazakallah khairan. Those who acknowledged their Lord and they testified for his oneness, and they were consistent and they adhered to his obedience, and they were in a state of continuity in doing that. They continued in that. وَاسْتَقَامُوا مُدَّةَ حَيَاتِهِمْ, and they were upright the entirety of their lives. And here I would like to pause, because for me personally, that is one of the scariest things in this world. Like, honestly, I don't feel, by Allah's grace and mercy, anxious about anything in this world. I have no anxiety, by Allah's grace. Zero. Tell me you're gonna address a crowd of 1 million people, you're gonna go meet I don't know who, you're going to jump off the 20th floor with half a parachute. By Allah's grace, I don't have anxiety. The one thing I'm anxious about in this life is how it will end. Is that now I know I'm a Muslim, alhamdulillah, inshallah I'm a mu'min. I know that I'm following the way of the Salaf. I'm reading the book of my Lord. I'm trying my best to follow the way of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. And I'm within the body of Muslims. This is now. What's later? What's after? What will happen 5, 10, 15 years from now if I live that long? What will my condition be? Will I be better? Will I be worse? Will a person go back on their heels and deviate after they had found guidance? That is the one thing I am most anxious about in this life. And it's very important that we don't take guidance for granted. Do not take guidance for granted. Don't assume it's something that you are entitled of, or something that you could have secured under your belt forever. It is an ongoing challenge. It's an ongoing struggle for you to remain upon guidance, to have longevity in your istiqamah. It's not just about being mustaqim now, upright now. It's about ending your life in the state of istiqamah. It's about dying in the state of being righteous, dying with Allah pleased with you, dying in a way that is pleasing to Allah, having a good end, leaving this world on a good note, not on another note. That is what I'm anxious about. So whenever I read the book of Allah, whenever I come across ayat like this is when I get scared, because I don't have any control. I have no control of the future. I have no control of my heart. I don't control my heart. No one controls their heart. It's only Allah who controls your heart. This is why the most persistent and the most common and prevalent dua of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, especially towards the end of his life, was Allahumma ya muqallib al-qulub thabbit qalbi ala dinik. Oh Allah, the one who turns the hearts over, keep my heart firm on your religion. This is the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who is ma'soom, who is protected and safeguarded from deviation, from kufr, from disbelief, begging Allah to keep his heart firm on the deen. رَبَّنَا لَا تُزِغْ قُلُوبَنَا بَعْدَ إِذْ هَدَيْتَنَا. Our Lord, do not deviate our hearts after you have guided us. وَهَبْ لَنَا مِن لَدُنْكَ رَحْمَةً. And grant from us mercy. إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ الْوَهَابِ. You are the one who grants. It's a very, very scary reality. Why? Because we see in our circle, we see in our world, in our life, people who had been upon guidance and deviated, including scholars, including people of knowledge, who were once upon the way of the Salaf, and then they started deviating from the way of the Salaf bit by bit until they collected a number of violations that actually takes them out of Salafiyah, that violates the fundamental principles of Salafiyah, and therefore they departed from this world. Maybe they're forgiven by Allah, but as far as we're concerned, judging by their parent, they departed from this world upon a way other than the way of the Sahaba, upon the way of the Khawarij and the Takfiris. It's very scary. This is a person of knowledge, let alone an ignorant person. So I remind myself and you, do not take your guidance for granted, and constantly beg Allah with the dua of the Prophet ﷺ, Allahumma ya muqallib al-qulub thabbit qalbi ala dinik. Ask Allah to keep your heart firm on the deen, and that He gives you husnul khatima, the good end, that you die while doing umrah, while doing hajj, you die while giving sadaqah, you die while in sujood, while standing before Allah in prayer, you die while you're massaging your parents' feet, being dutiful to them, you die while you're helping the orphan, you die while you're helping the needy, something that is pleasing to Allah. Not that you die listening to your favorite song behind closed doors, or you die watching something haram, or you die while verbally abusing someone, or you die while you're smoking, or you die while engaging in any act of kufr or disbelief, major or minor. So istaqamu mada hayatihim, they were upright their entire life. So we ask Allah Jalla Jalaluhu wa taqaddasat asma'uhu to make us from among those who will be upright their entire lives. فَلَا خَوْفٌ عَلَيْهِمْ مِنْ كُلِّ شَرٍ أَمَامِهِمْ. So there should be no fear. There's no fear for them. No fear concerning them. The Shaykh said, regarding every evil that is ahead of them. وَلَا هُمْ يَحْزَنُونَ. Nor should they grieve عَلَى مَا خَلَّفُوا وَرَاءَهُمْ, regarding that which they have left behind. Bismillah. أُولَٰئِكَ أَصْحَابُ الْجَنَّةِ أي أهلها الملازمون لها. So those are the inhabitants of paradise. These are the companions of paradise. The Shaykh said, those who are ملازمون لها, meaning they're always with it. الذين لا يبغون عنها حولا ولا يريدون بها بدلا. Those who do not seek an alternative, and those who do not want a replacement or an exchange for it. خالدين فيها جزاء بما كانوا يعملون. and they will abide eternally therein as a reward for what they used to do. من الإيمان بالله المقتدي للأعمال الصالحة التي استقاموا عليها. So what is it that they used to do? They used to believe in Allah, which necessitates the righteous deeds that they were upright in engaging in. طيب يا مصعب اقرأ اقرأ 15 و16.
ووصينا الإنسان بوالديه إحسانا حملته أمه كرها ووضعته كرها وحمله وفصاله 30 شهرا حتى إذا بلغ أشده وبلغ 40 سنة قال رب أوزعني أن أشكر نعمتك التي أنعمت علي وعلى والدي وأن أعمل صالحا ترضاه وأصلح لي في ذريتي إني تبت إليك وإني من المسلمين أولئك الذين نتقبل عنهم أحسن ما عملوا ونتجاوز عن سيئاتهم في أصحاب الجنة وعد الصدق الذي كانوا يوعدون. And we have enjoined upon man to his parents good treatment. His mother carried him with hardship and gave birth to him with hardship, and his gestation and weaning period is 30 months. He grows until when he reaches maturity and reaches the age of 40 years. He says, My Lord, enable me to be grateful for your favor which you have bestowed upon me and upon my parents, and to work righteousness of which you will approve, and make righteous for me my offspring. Indeed, I have repented to you, and indeed I am of the Muslims. Those are the ones from whom we will accept the best of what they did and overlook their misdeeds, their being among the companions of paradise. That is the promise of truth which they had been promised.
Sheikh Abdul Salam al-Shuway'ir, Hafidhahullah, mentions that this is among the most important ad'iyah for a person to engage in when it comes to seeking or wanting upright children and righteous children. This particular dua. So my recommendation is that you memorize this particular ayah, or at least the part of the ayah which begins with Rabbi awzi'ni. Rabbi awzi'ni. Until the word wa inni min al-muslimin. It's only a couple of lines, but it's a very crucial dua for you to make in sujood, at the end of salah, and during other occasions, insha'Allah ta'ala. The Shaykh rahimahullah says, هذا من لطفه تعالى بعباده وشكره للوالدين أن وصى الأولاد وعهد إليهم أن يحسنوا إلى والديهم بالقول اللطيف والكلام اللين وبذل المال والنفقة وغير ذلك من وجوه الإحسان. Pay attention, O slaves of Allah. Pay attention, perhaps the reminder will finally penetrate this heart of yours. This is from the kindness of Allah and gentleness of Allah to His slaves, and وَشُكْرِهِ لِلْوَالِدَيْنِ, and out of gratitude for the parents, that He gave the covenant and the advice to the children, and He had this ahd, this kind of contract with them, that they should be excellent with their parents, with the al-qawl al-latif, with the gentle statement, wal-kalam al-layyin, and the soft speech. The يعني al-layyin is easy, digestible, agreeable, easy on the ears. وَبَذْلِ الْمَالِ, and also exerting one's wealth, وَالنَّفَقَةِ, and spending, and other than that, all and other aspects of ihsan. ثُمَّ نَبَّهَ عَلَى ذِكْرِ السَّبَبِ الْمُوجِبِ لِذَلِكَ. Then Allah notified us about the wisdom or the reason why this is obligatory. فذكر ما تحملته الأم من ولدها. So it mentioned what the mother had to bear when it came to the child. And here's something that will freak you out, right, guys? I saw a video of this very famous celebrity who, he has some decent work for Islam, not full-fledged sound and authentic, but nevertheless he has some efforts for Islam. Zallahu khairan. Very famous person, where they actually brought men into a hospital and they put machines on them that simulate the level of pain that the delivering woman undergoes at the time of delivery. And the men were unable to bear it. Generally speaking, men are stronger than women. Generally speaking, men are stronger than women. They have more durability, more endurance, more patience, more perseverance. A man can handle pain so much more than women. But when it came to the matter of delivering a child, it was equivalent to the breaking of a bone. The pain that is sensed or felt at the time you break a bone. And then but that's one time. Because of the duration of the delivery or the labor up until the child comes out is actually equivalent to you breaking your bones one after the other. Your bones are breaking back to back. That is the level of pain. And when they put the men and they put these machines on them, dude is like, you know what? I'm done. Thank you. I don't want this. I don't need this. So this is a moment we take to say to the mothers, Jazakunna Allahu khairan. May Allah bless you and reward you. And the mother does this happily, and she looks after that child, and she nurtures him, and she nurses him, and she takes care of him, and she changes his diapers, and she cares for him more than she cares for herself. She sacrifices her sleep for him to sleep. She sacrifices herself for him, and the list goes on. And then, subhanallah, this child grows a little old, and then they turn and they start mocking their own parents, clowning them, making fun of them, disrespecting them, disobeying them, mistreating them, making them seem like they're a bunch of criminals who came out of prison to torture them. And the list goes on. And to Allah we complain about the condition of the youth in this day and time. This Gen Z, wala Gen T, wala whatever you want to call them. So we appreciate the mothers. I appreciate my mother. This is excluding all the hard time we gave them. All the hard time we gave them as we were growing up. So Allah established this right for the parents. وَمَا قَاسَتْهُ مِنَ الْمَكَارِهِ وَقْتَ حَمْلِهَا, what she had to endure of hardship during pregnancy. ثُمَّ مَشَقَّةُ وِلَادَتِهَا الْمَشَقَّةَ الْكَبِيرَةَ, then the hardship of delivery, which is the greatest hardship. ثُمَّ مَشَقَّةَ الرِّضَاعَ وَخِدْمَةَ الْحَضَانَةِ, then the hardship of nursing and caring for the baby. Hadana is like that nursery stage. Bismillah. Allahu Akbar. Listen to the Shaykh rahimahullah. وليست المذكورات مدة يسيرة ساعة أو ساعتين ساعة أو ساعتين أو ساعة أو ساعتين. And what is mentioned is not a short period, an hour or two. It's not just an hour or two. وإنما ذلك مدة طويلة قدرها 30 شهرا. Rather, it is a long time equivalent to 30 months. 30 months between the delivery and other. The Shaykh will break it down. الحمل 9 أشهر ونحوها. Pregnancy is 9 months or so. Sometimes it could be 6 months, as we know. والباقي للرضاع, and the rest of that is for nursing, which is usually around 2 years. وهذا للغالب. هذا الغالب. This is the most common. Obviously, it could be more or less. ويستدل بهذه الآية مع قوله والوالدات يرضعن أولادهن حولين كاملين. And this ayah is used as an evidence along with the other ayah, and mothers are to nurse their children for 2 complete years. أن أقل مدة الحمل 6 أشهر, that the least or the lowest number or duration of pregnancy is 6 months. لأن مدة الرضاع وهي 2 إذا سقطت منها 2 بقي 6 أشهر مدة الحمل. Because the duration of nursing, which is 2 years, if it's less than 2 years, or if it's removed from the 2 years, you're only left with 6 months of pregnancy. And that's how you wind up with 30 months, because of the addition of all these months together. صح? 2 years is 24. 2 years is 24. And since Allah said 30 months, that means 6 months of pregnancy, which is the minimum, along with 2 years of nursing, that's 30 months. بقي 6 أشهر مدة الحمل. حتى إذا بلغ أشده أي نهاية قوته وشبابه وكمال عقله. So until when he reaches his ashud, which is basically the age of maturity, the Shaykh said, rahimahullah, meaning the epitome of his strength, his youthfulness, and the maturity of his intellect. وبلغ 40 سنة, and he reaches the age of 40 years. قال ربي أوزعني, he says, my Lord, enable me. أي ألهمني ووفقني, meaning inspire me and guide me. أن أشكر نعمتك التي أنعمت علي وعلى والدي, to be grateful for your favor which you have bestowed upon me and upon my parents. أي نعم الدين ونعم الدنيا, meaning the favors of the religion and the worldly favors. وشكره بصرف النعم في طاعة مسديها وموليها ومقابلة منته بالاعتراف والعجز عن الشكر والاجتهاد في الثناء به على الله. And thanking him by distributing or by applying or utilizing those favors of Allah in his obedience, and the obedience of the provider, the one who gave it to us, the one who provided us with it, and to reciprocate his bounty upon us by acknowledging our disability in being grateful enough and in exerting ourselves to praise Allah for them. والنعم على الوالدين نعم على أولادهم وذريتهم لأنهم لا بد أن ينالهم منها ومن أسبابها وأثارها. And the favors of Allah upon the parents is in reality favors upon their children and their progeny, because no doubt they will receive some of the reasons and some of the aspects and some of the outcome and some of the effects of it. So when your parents are upright, or when your parents are practicing Islam, then you by default are going to be the recipient of a lot of khair, because the household is established on Islam. This is a great bounty from Allah. خصوصا نعم الدين, especially the favors of the religion. فأن صلاح الوالدين بالعلم والعمل من أعظم الأسباب لصلاح أولادهم, because the righteousness of the parents in terms of knowledge and deeds is from among the greatest reasons that brings about the righteousness of the children. Obviously, this is the general principle, but not necessarily. Evidence is Nuh's son was a disbeliever. Nuh's son was a disbeliever. Lut's wife was a disbeliever. So it doesn't always have to be that because of the righteousness of the parents, the children will also be righteous. It is definitely a big factor, but at some point it is up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and also the children have an involvement in what they want for themselves. They could be upright because the environment is provided for them to be upright. The soil is fertile for them to be upright, but they choose to be corrupt. They choose to be wicked. There's nothing that the parents can do. وأن أعمل صالحا ترضاه, and that I should to work righteousness of which you will approve, بأن يكون جامعا لما يصلحه سالما مما يفسده, that this deed is basically, it has all the elements which makes it peaceful and upright and beneficial, and it protects it from its corruption. فهذا العمل الذي يرضاه الله ويقبله ويثيب عليه. This is the action or the deed that Allah is pleased with, that Allah accepts and that Allah rewards for. وأصلح لي في ذريتي, and make righteous for me my offspring. لما دعا لنفسه بالصلاح, after he made dua for himself to be upright, دعا لذريته أن يصلح الله أحوالهم. He made dua for his progeny that Allah rectifies their affairs. وذكر أن صلاحهم يعود نفع على والديهم, and he mentioned that their uprightness, the benefit will return back to the parents. لقوله وأصلح لي, because he said and make righteous for me, meaning that if they are righteous, I will be the benefactor. I will be the benefactor. I'll be the beneficiary of their righteousness. If your children righteous, why? Because you die. You die. And one of the three ways for you to continue to receive good deeds and benefit from your actions after you die is a righteous child that makes dua for you. Imagine you die and you have a son that in every salah, in every single salah, he makes dua for you. And every dua, every time he makes dua for you. اللهم اغفر لأبي وارحمه وتجاوز عنه وارفع درجته في الصالحين واجعله من الصالحين المهديين وتجاوز عن أخطائه وسيئاته إلى آخره. Whatever dua. This is a righteous son, and the person might be removed from the fire and admitted to paradise. Or if he was from the people of paradise, he will find that he's going up in the levels of paradise. He doesn't even know why. And he will ask on Yawm al-Qiyamah, what happened? Where did all this come from? I didn't do anything that makes me deserving of this. It will be said to him, this is because of the dua of your righteous child. This is the dua that your child was making for you. But if you have a corrupt child who does not bother to make dua for you, then you've lost. You have missed out on a great opportunity to receive greater reward or to even be saved from the punishment of Allah accordingly. And also, if you leave ilmun yuntafa'u bihi, if you leave knowledge which the people benefit from, and you have a righteous child who is keen on disseminating this knowledge, on sharing it, on making it public, providing it to the people, letting this legacy remain way after that person died, then this is from the khair, and this is from al-sadaqa al-jariyah, the recurrent charity, or this is from the ilm yuntafa bihi, knowledge that the people benefit from. If you have a wicked child who will be too busy with the dunya, and all of the work of his father go to waste, then you've missed out again. So the righteousness of the child is very important, and it will come back to the actual parents. Hey. لقولي واصح لإني تبت إليك, I have repented to you, indeed I have repented to you, من الذنوب والمعاصي ورجعت إلى طاعتك, from sins and disobedience, and I have returned back to your obedience. وإني من المسلمين, and indeed I am of the Muslims. أولئك الذين ذكرت أوصافهم, those whose descriptions or traits or characteristics have been mentioned. الذين نتقبل عنهم أحسن ما عملوا, those are the ones from whom we will accept the best of what they did. وهو الطاعات, and that is obedience, acts of obedience. لأنهم يعملون أيضا غيرها. Why? Because they also do other than that. ونتجاوز عن سيئاتهم, and we will overlook their misdeeds. في جملة أصحاب الجنة, there being among the companions of paradise, فحصل لهم الخير والمحبوب, so they attained the goodness and that which is loved. وزال عنهم الشر والمكروه, and what has been removed away from them is evil and that which is hated. وعد الصدق الذي كانوا يوعدون, that is a promise of truth which they had been promised. أي هذا الوعد الذي وعدناهم هو وعد صادق من أصدق القائلين الذي لا يخلف الميعاد. This promise that we have promised you is the truthful promise from the most truthful in speech, from the most truthful of those who say anything, the one who never ever goes back on his promise, never ever backtracks or betrays his promise. So that is one category of people. Now check out the other category of children نسأل الله العافية. تفضل يا شيخ مصعب.
والذي قال لوالديه أف لكما أتعدانني أن أخرج وقد خلت القرون من قبلي وهما يستغيثان الله ويلك آمن إن وعد الله حق فيقول ما هذا إلا أساطير الأولين أولئك الذين حق عليهم القول في قد خلت من قبلهم من الجن والإنس إنهم كانوا خاسرين ولكل درجات مما عملوا وليوفيهم أعمالهم وهم لا يظلمون. But one who says to his parents, Uff to you, do you promise me that I will be brought forth from the earth when generations before me have already passed into oblivion, while they call to Allah for help and to their son, woe to you, believe, indeed the promise of Allah is truth, but he says, this is not but legends of the former people. Those are the ones whom the word, i.e. decree, has come into effect, who will be among nations which had passed on before them of jinn and men. Indeed, they all were losers. And for all there are degrees of reward and punishment for what they have done. And it is so that he may fully compensate them for their deeds, and they will not be wronged.
لما ذكر تعالى حال الصالح البار لوالديه, after Allah mentioned the affair and the condition of the righteous, dutiful, the person who's righteous and dutiful to his parents, ذكر حالة العاق. Allah mentioned the affair of the undutiful. وأنها شر الحالات والعياذ بالله, and it is the most evil of affairs and conditions and states. فقال والذي قال لوالديه, and the one who says to his parents, إذ دعياه إلى الإيمان بالله واليوم الآخر وخوفاه الجزاء, after they invited him to believe in Allah on the last day and they tried to make him fear the compensation. وهذا أعظم إحسان يصدر من الوالدين لولدهما, and this is the greatest type of goodness that occurs, that comes out from the parents towards their children. أن يدعواه إلى ما فيه سعادته الأبدية وفلاحه السرمدي, that they invite him to that which has his eternal happiness and his perpetual success. فقابلهما بأقبح مقابلة, so he reciprocated with the worst in the worst way possible. فقال أف لكما, أي تبا لكما ولما جئتما به, meaning damn you and what you've brought. Uff is the smallest expression of dissatisfaction. It changes with the change of language and cultures. In every language or culture, there's a particular way to express uff. Among the Arabs, it's usually uff. Among British, it could be something else. Among the Americans, it could be something else. Among the Russian, it could be something else. Among the Indonesians, it could be something else. Think of any type of being fed up, being annoyed, being irritated. Let's just say you being irritated and you make an expression. And this expression could be verbal, it could be gesture, it could be facial expression, it could be shrugging, it could be whatever and whichever. If it entails that you're expressing dissatisfaction or annoyance by your parents, then you have fallen into one of the greatest violations in the deed of Islam. As per many ayat in the Quran, this one and the one in Surah Al-Isra. وَوَصَّيْنَا الْإِنسَانُ بِوَالِدَيْهِ حَمَلَتْهُ أُمُّهُ وَهْنًا. No. وقضى ربك ألا تعبدوا إلا إياه وبالوالدين إحسانا إما يبلغن عندك الكبر أحدهما أو كلاهما فلا تقل لهما أف ولا تنهرهما. Do not say uff to them and do not scold them. So anytime your parents tell you anything and you make this expression, you are crazy. Let me tell you to your face, wallahi, you are crazy. You are really playing with the fire. You're standing in front of Jahannam and you're deciding on which side you want to jump into. On the right side, on the left side, feet first, head first. This is not a negotiable matter. This is not a matter of difference of opinion. This is not an issue where the scholars have differed. This is as black and white as it gets. This is as black and white as shirk and tawheed are. Yet, we are guilty. And hey, I'm not just speaking to young people. Some of y'all who are 40 and your parents are 60, 70, you're guilty. You're guilty. So this is not a matter to be taken lightly. Please, please be dutiful to your parents. You have no idea what Allah has in store of sustenance, provision, blessings, facilitation, acceptance on earth, everything you wish for and more for the people that are dutiful to the parents, and the exact opposite for those who are undutiful to their parents. Wherever they go, they have no success, no barakah, no tawfiq from Allah, no success from Allah. Everything, all doors closed before their face. And they wonder, what did I do? What did I do? What didn't you do? So I'm inviting everybody, including myself, to take some time out and renew our intention from this moment onwards, that from now on we will be the best people to our parents. We will be the best people we can to our parents. Remember the hadith of the people that were stuck in the cave with the rock blocking the cave, and the man who went to get milk came back, found his parents were sleeping, did not want to wake him up, and remained standing there with the milk the entire night while his children are begging him to have some, and he would not let his children have some until his parents had some, until the morning. Remember that hadith always in the back of your mind. And remember the hadith of Jurayj, whom his mom was calling and he was busy praying nafila, and he ignored his mom until she made dua against him. And he went through the biggest fitna you can imagine. Remember those ahadith so you will understand the gravity of the matter. ثم ذكر وجه استبعاده وإنكاره لذلك. Then Allah mentioned his opinion, or his subjective opinion about him denouncing or rejecting what they're saying. فقال أتعدانني أن أخرج, do you promise me that I'll be brought forth من قبري إلى يوم القيامة, from my grave to the day of resurrection. وقد خلت القرون من قبلي, even though the generations before me have already passed. على التكذيب وسلفوا على الكفر, meaning they passed before me with being liars, and they were all upon kufr. وهم الأئمة المقتدى بهم لكل كفور وجهول ومعاند, and these are the leaders, those are the leaders for everyone. They are the leaders that are led or that are taken as an example by every disbelieving, ignorant, stubborn one. وهما أي والداه, all while his parents are doing what? يستغيثان, they are calling on Allah and begging him for help. يستغيثان الله عليه ويقولان له, so they're begging Allah regarding him, and they're saying to him, ويلك آمن, woe to you, believe. أي يبذلان غاية جهدهما ويسعيان في هدايته أشد السعي, meaning they exert themselves at the most, to the best they're able to, and they strive in guiding him in the most way, in the best and the most prolific way they can, in exerting themselves. حتى إنهما من حرصهما عليه أنهما يستغيثان الله له استغاثة الغريق, so much so that they're so keen on him that they are beseeching and begging Allah the same way you beg for a drowning person. It's as if this person is drowning and you are begging Allah to help the same way if you were drowning, you would be begging Allah for help. ويسألانه سؤال الشريق ويعذلان ولدهما ويتوجعان له ويبينان له الحق, and they are asking the question of a person in dire need, and they are advising their child, and they feel pain for him, and they're clarifying the truth for him. فيقولان إن وعد الله حق, indeed the promise of Allah is truth. ثم يقيمان عليه من الأدلة ما أمكنهما, and then they establish of the proof whatever they're able to. وولدهما لا يزداد إلا عتوا ونفورا واستكبارا عن الحق وقدحا فيه, all whilst their child is only increasing in rebellion, in turning away and being arrogant against the truth and criticizing it. فيقول ما هذا إلا أساطير الأولين. He says, this is not but the legends of the former peoples. أي إلا منقول من كتب المتقدمين ليس من عند الله. This is all narrated and conveyed to us from the books of the earlier people. It is not from Allah. ولا أوحاه الله إلى رسوله, nor did Allah reveal it unto his messenger. وكل أحد يعلم أن محمدا صلى الله عليه وسلم أمي لا يكتب ولا يقرأ. All and everybody knows that the Prophet Muhammad was unlettered. He did not know how to write or read. ولا يتعلم من أحد. He did not learn from anybody. And ولا تعلم من أحد, nor did he learn from anybody. This is actually maybe more correct than يتعلم, because يتعلم is مضارع and the Prophet ﷺ passed away. فمن أين يتعلم? From where is he going to learn it? وأن للخلق أن يأتوا بمثل هذا القرآن ولو كان بعضهم لبعض ظهيرا. And how can the creation bring something like this Quran even if they were aids and assistants and helpers to one another? أولئك الذين بهذه الحالة الذميمة حق عليهم القول حقت عليهم كلمة العذاب. So these people who are in this condition, those are who are in this condition, in this very blameworthy condition, then indeed the word has come into effect, which is the word or the decree of al-adhab, punishment. في جملة, from among أمم قد خلت من قبلهم من الجن والإنس إنهم كانوا خاسرين. Meaning nations that came before them from jinn and ins who were what? على الكفر والتكذيب. They were upon disbelief and lies. فسيدخل هؤلاء في غمارهم ويغرقون في تيارهم. So these people will be included among them and they will drown in their direction, or tayyar, in their basically the, what do you call it, current. إنهم كانوا خاسرين. Indeed they were losers. والخسران فوات رأس المال رأس مال الإنسان. Now loss is missing on the capital, one's capital, the human's capital, meaning the capital of your money. وإذا فقد رأس ماله فالأرباح من باب أولى أخرى. If you don't have a capital, then there's no profit. So if you lose the capital of your money, then there's no way there's profit, because you lost the أصل. فهم قد فاته بالإيمان. They miss out on iman. ولم يحصلوا شيئا من النعيم. So they did not attain any of the favors of Allah or any of the blessings of Allah. ولا سلموا من عذاب الجحيم. Nor were they saved from the torment of the hellfire. ولكل من أهل الخير وأهل الشر درجات مما عملوا. And for all there are degrees. The Shaykh said, meaning from the people of good and the people of evil, they will have degrees of reward and punishment for what they have done. أي كل على حسب مرتبته من الخير والشر. Each according to his level of good or evil. ومنازلهم في الدار الآخرة على قدر أعمالهم. And their homes in the life to come are proportional to their deeds. ولهذا قال, that's what Allah said, وليوفيهم أعمالهم وهم لا يظلمون. So that he may fully compensate them for their deeds and they will not be wronged. بأن لا يزاد في سيئاتهم ولا ينقص من بأن لا يزاد في سيئاتهم, that none of their sins will be increased, ولا ينقص من حسناتهم, and none of their good deeds will be decreased or will be eliminated or will be depleted. And with this, inshaAllah ta'ala, we conclude today's dars. We are at ayah number 20. Hey, Allah al-Musta'an. Allah al-Musta'an. وجزاكم. There are those who argue that it's permissible to boycott parents who are mentally abusive, because Ibrahim as-salam supposedly did. Wasn't this after his father had already died? You cannot boycott your father if he's mentally abusive. You cannot boycott your father or your mother if whether they are physically abusive, mentally abusive, psychologically abusive, financially abusive, educationally abusive, any type of abusive. Inshallah, you have the most wicked shayateen, the most two wicked shayateen as your parents. You have to be dutiful to them. You don't have to obey them in anything that is regarding obedience to Allah. Nothing that concerns the obedience of Allah, you will give them any acceptance. But everything else, you have to obey them and be dutiful to them. No, you don't stay away from them. You don't stay away from them. You be patient. What if you set up a link where you can donate towards the StreamYard so we can have the premium version and avoid the icon of the ayah? It can be a joint project. Wallahi, I don't feel comfortable, ya akhi. I don't feel comfortable collecting money from people. I don't feel comfortable collecting money from people. I don't mind selling a product. I don't mind, authoring a book or teaching a course, and then as something that is exclusive and no problem. But to ask for donations, that doesn't sit well with me. The other option is to pay $45 a month so that I don't have the StreamYard icon. I see that as tabdhir. I see that as a waste of my money. I could afford it by Allah's grace and mercy. I could surely afford it, but it's just it's a waste of money in my opinion. I would rather that $45 can be given to a miskeen who will do a lot more with it than me removing a StreamYard icon. Life goes on. Now, but thank you for that offer. I appreciate it. Allah's will is not connected to our will, but is it okay to say that our will is connected to His? Because, for example, He legislated Islam and He gave us the will to accept it. Yeah, of course, our will is connected to His, not because of that, because of the ayah. وَمَا تَشَاءُونَ إِلَّا أَن يَشَاءَ اللَّهُ. You don't will until Allah wills. So Allah connected our will to His. Does publishing sci-fi or dystopian fiction novels that does not promote kufr or sins but is about made-up nations, politics, situations fall under lahu? I don't know. I don't like it, but I don't know. Wa alaikum salam. Not a question per se, but a comment regarding the anxiety of firmness with the deen. Some of the Salafis say that someone that stopped practicing the deen wasn't ajib for them. It was rather someone being firm on the religion till their death that amazed them. Subhanallah. Na'am. Jazakallah khair. Allah musta'an. Wafika barakallah, brother asked a couple of classes ago, paraphrasing, do you provide marriage matchmaking for those who are in need of it? No, I don't. I don't really have a service for that. In the past, it just so happens that, I somehow was involved. Very rarely it has happened. But that's not something that I really wish to involve myself in a lot because of the aftermath. I got involved with a couple of people before, and then as a result of that, I feel a sense of obligation and responsibility towards them years down the line because I was involved in matchmaking, and it becomes sometimes a very occupying. It's time consuming, so I'd rather just stay out of it as much as I can. I might just randomly get involved, but it's not something I'm really looking forward to now. So please leave me out of it. Wa alaikum salam. Can you please explain the hadith regarding the dua of an oppressed person and fasting person will be accepted? Does the fasting person make dua right before adhan or during? No, you make dua before adhan. You make dua while you are fasting. The dua of the fasting person is while they are fasting. Now, and the dua of the oppressed is while you're undergoing oppression. I asked yesterday about my dad's sister asking us to visit them on Eid, and the reasons I don't want to go there, it's far. We have some house repair to do after Eid. My mom wouldn't enjoy going, etc. There's no part 2. Next time, don't put part 1 if you guys haven't found part 2. I'm just saying, we know the Prophet ﷺ used to interact with the Quran. Can we do this in our own language if we don't know how to speak Arabic? Yes. Yes, you can. How to respond to those who takfir others for drinking Starbucks or Coke? I've already answered that question many times in the past. We've made many clips about the issue of boycotting or koi-butting. May Allah guide them, ya akhi. Ameen. Isn't there an ijma' that shaving pubic hair is sunnah, not wajib? I'm not familiar with that ijma'. I'm not familiar that there's an ijma'. What I'm familiar with is that it is wajib. The sunan al-fitra are obligatory. They are mustahab. within the 40 days, and beyond the 40 days, it becomes a violation. That's what I'm familiar with. So if you have an ijma', can you please share who narrated this ijma'? I'm not saying it's not there. I'm just saying I'm not aware of it. I posted the part 2 just after 2, but they still visit and speak to us. We haven't cut them off, so I'm sinful by not accepting them. But you're asking me the same question you asked yesterday. I don't understand. You don't have to. Keeping the kinship ties is not based on mutual visitation. Keeping the kinship ties is when your family don't want to associate with you, and then you insist on keeping the kinship ties alive. That is the concept of silat al-rahim in Islam. As for mutual socializing and visitation, this is good, but that is not the optimal form of keeping the kinship ties. So you want to visit them, you don't want to visit them, that's on you, brother. It's all good. It's all good. Can a person of bid'ah be righteous, or is this an oxymoron? The person of bid'ah can be righteous in terms of his worship, in terms of him avoiding sinfulness, but his bid'ah could render all of these acts of righteousness and piety void and wasted. So it's from the matters that are with Allah. We can't really dig deeper. It's not an oxymoron though. A lot of the Ahlul Bid'ah, like even the Khawarij, they were known for being righteous in the sense that they prayed and they fasted and they recited the Quran, but their aqidah was corrupt, which definitely negates righteousness. But there's an element of external righteousness that is acknowledged and approved, or identified, not approved, acknowledged. Please give us 9 to 5 workers advice on how we can stay up during the night for the last 10 nights. Oh, I don't know. You work 9 to 5? Oh man, you guys in the West are suffering, bruv. I don't know, man. Minimize your sleep, akhi. Minimize your sleep. That's my advice. You're gonna sleep less those last nights. So what? Do it for the sake of Allah. Yeah, there you go. Ma'moon figured out by staying up. Typical Abu Mus'ab reply. How is watching football not haram? Awra, waste of time, glorifying kuffar. Wow. Well, you've added a lot of things on your own. First of all, regarding the awra, you don't look at the awra. If a awra is shown, then you lower your gaze. Waste of time? No, it is not a waste of time unless it's conflicting with the rights of Allah or the rights of people. So if you fulfilled your ibadah and you fulfilled the rights of people and you want some leisure time, which is allowed in Islam, and that leisure time you want to watch football, then there's nothing haram in that. If you're no longer attending jama'ah because you want to watch the game, you got a problem. If every time you see a awra, you start, opening your eyes and inspecting it, then you got a problem. Glorifying the kuffar. Who said glorifying? Who said you glorifying the kuffar? When I watch football, I don't glorify the kuffar. I've said many times in the past, if these kuffar wanted to come and, I wouldn't care about any one of them in any way, shape, or form. So it's not that black and white, akhi. That said, you are of the opinion that watching football is haram. Don't watch. Did you ever see me come say, Ikhwan, tomorrow there's a game between Saudi Arabia and England. Please watch the game and support? No, I don't. You don't want to? Jazakallahu khairan. You're better than me. You are better than me. Continue in your own ways. But to say it's haram, that's a stretch, brother. That's a stretch. Now, if someone has a fast full of major sins, what can they do? Do they pray salat tawbah and ask for general repentance, or they have to list? Yeah, you just repent from all of your past life. You do istighfar and tawbah from everything that you had done in the past. One tawbah that encompasses and erases everything, and you don't go back to your old ways, and you're good to go, inshallah. It's that simple. Female have these special hormone called oxytocin, men don't. This helps them in helping them decrease the pain of childbirth and helps in childbirth that they could not tolerate this painful process. Thank you so much, Dr. Abdurrahman Muhammad. Jazakallahu khaira. Oxytocin. Right. It's quite a name. There's a clip of Sheikh Uthaymeen rahimahullah regarding criticizing rulers if they spread things against Sharia. So they can be criticized even if they're not spreading kufr. No, that is not true. You need to look at everything. That the Sheikh rahimahullah was upon. You cannot take a clip from the Sheikh and then say this is his position. I can give you 10 in reply to this one where the Sheikh was very explicit in saying that you cannot criticize the rulers at all, no matter what the situation is. So there's a context for why the Sheikh would have said certain things. And those who want to go fatwa shopping to find a fatwa that agrees with their way, then that's their problem. No problem, Darain. I'm not saying you know. I'm just letting you know. So now let's see. We got a doctor. Now this doctor was refuted by another 50 doctors. Turns out that everybody has an oxytocin. 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 Salam Ustad. Which city did you enjoy, love living in more, Jeddah or Riyadh? Tough question. I love Jeddah because of the nearness to Mecca and because of the Red Sea, where I used to go scuba diving and spearfishing on a weekly basis. And I like Riyadh because it's more structured, organized, and there's a winter season, which we never, ever, ever, ever experience in Jeddah. But I prefer Jeddah. Wa alaikum salam. If I don't pray witr with the Imam after Taraweeh because my dad doesn't want me to, will I still get the reward of praying the whole night if I had the intention to do so? Yes, inshallah. You would have gotten both. You would have gotten the reward of praying all night behind the Imam and the reward of obeying your father and being dutiful. What a jackpot you hit. What a jackpot you hit. I have a woman lecturer in some of the courses I am taking. Is it haram to speak to her if I have a question? Weren't you a female? Are you? Is this Astal? Was it a brother or a sister? A brother? Oh, the one who wants to marry a woman who works? Okay. You have a woman lecturer in some of the courses I'm taking. Is it haram to speak to her? Well, why? What do you want to speak to her about? No, you can ask a question, but why do you have a woman lecturer in the course you're taking? What is it online? Is it physical? Is it what? I need to know more. Because the problem right now is not in asking the question. The problem is that you have a female lecturer. She's a doctor. I guess you're trying to be a doctor. Allah musta'an, man. I don't know. How are you going to ask her? You're going to speak to her on the phone? No problem. Oh, it's a phone call. But be very firm and straightforward. In person. La ya Sheikh, I cannot help you. Discord, ya habibi. خربت بيتنا Discord. اسمه ديسكورد يخرب بيته من ابلكيشن ولا من سوفت وير ولا من بلاتفورم ديسكورد شياطين الانس والجن live on Discord or that cord. ايش الكلام الفاضي هذا يا شيخ؟ جننتني يا خيي يا خيي بعد فيه يا خيي هطلع من قميصي. خلاص اللي بعده. Allah, انت still full-time job. I've gotten money from birthdays since childhood. Is it haram? No, that's fine. Even though I refuse it, clearly say I don't celebrate birthday, but it's still given. If it's given to you, take it and enjoy it. If you're not celebrating your birthday and someone on your birthday gave you a gift or gave you money, eat it هنيئا مريئا. Why are we lagging? Ya Sheikh. I'm good. It's still lagging. When do people sleep when you do i'tikaf? I read the Prophet ﷺ make the right night full of worship, and we're supposed to sleep when we're supposed to sleep. Is seek an ilm commanded act when you do i'tikaf? Yeah, you could seek knowledge when you do an i'tikaf, and you sleep according to what is useful for you, akhi. Each person differs. You manage your sleep time. You could sleep after Fajr. You sleep after Fajr until Dhuhr. That's what, 5-6 hours? Unless you're a koala bear, that should be okay. Wa alaikum salam. You said yesterday diploma is important to make hijrah and find work in UAE as a recruiter. Which diplomas do you recommend? Who said I'm a recruiter? I'm not a recruiter, yaqi. I don't recommend any diplomas, but I heard that there's a huge demand for language instructors, for teachers. There's a huge demand in the Gulf region for teachers. So if you become a teacher, you can come and teach. Especially since most of you are English-speaking people, there's always demand for teaching English to non-English speakers. Yalibadu. Yes, dancing is haram. Yeah, it depends on what you mean by dancing. If a person is at home with his family and he does a couple of moves, adi. But like dancing, the way dancing is done, like either you're a professional break dancer, especially the Sufis. I know you've seen the clips of the Sufis, man, with their circle in the masjid. And when like an ex-break dancer reverts to Islam, Sufism, he likes to incorporate his old lifestyle into Islam. So the dude enters the circle with this breakdancing move and does this thing and flip and upside down. I seen this, man. I almost died from laughing. It must have been the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. If that's the kind of dance you're referring to, then no. And if a man is going to dance like a woman where he's shaking his waist like a homo, then also no. Now, if a woman is dancing to her husband, in front of her husband, that's cool. That's fine. But all these other wild type of dances, man, you just to be careful, man. Oh, that dude, man. You guys, if you see this video on YouTube, you will die, man. Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. If women were to work in a daycare in the West where they feed the children haram food, would this job and its money be haram? No, not all of it, but certain aspect of it will be yes. But she should find another job. And is she involved in feeding? If she's involved in feeding, then there's a problem. If she's not involved in the feeding, that's not an issue. Is istidraj related to misguidance and Allah abandoning someone on earth or otherwise? Yes. In relation to our lesson tonight, some people who mistreat their parents still enjoy good life. Is this istidraj? It could be. And it could be that they're either Allah has given them their tayyibat in the dunya, or it could be that, as a hadith mentions, that one of you will do the deeds of the people of Jannah until there's a handspan between him and his, the life to come, and then he yasbiqu alayhi al-kitab, then whatever Allah decreed will overtake, and then he will do the actions of the people of the fire and will enter it. So they could be living a happy life now, but what is in store for them is yet to come, because inna Allah yumhil wa la yuhmil. Allah will give delay, postpone, respite, but Allah does not abandon and ignore and neglect. So the person has to be careful, man. Yeah. Ustad, is it necessary to raise hands when making dua? It's a sunnah to raise hands when making dua, but it's not a sunnah to raise your hands while making dua during the occasions and the times when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam could have raised his hands and yet did not. Many brothers and sisters in India and Pakistan wipe their face after they complete the dua. There's no authentic hadith regarding wiping the face. All the narrations regarding it are weak. as per Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, and therefore one should not wipe his face upon completing the dua. One should not wipe his face upon completing the dua. Yeah, Habibi. Anyway, it's easy for you, red man, to make the Q&A longer, Habibi. But I'm the one who has to go to the bathroom, and I'm the one who has to eat, and I'm the one who has work tomorrow. Why don't you enjoy yourself? Hey, make it long, ya Sheikh. 3 hours. Yalla, bismillah. Hey, 3 hours Q&A. What about me? Hello? Hello? Anybody there? What can I do in the last nights if I work in university and cannot spend the full night? Bardo, Allah barik fik, Ustadna Abu Mussab. What can you do in the last nights if you have work in university and cannot spend the whole night? You do as much as you can. Go eat and come back. If I already did Taraweeh in the early part of the night, should I pray again by myself for the rest of the night in i'tikaf? I'm of the opinion that you don't. You ask another one, he will tell you, yes, you pray Taraweeh and then you pray again, you pray as much as you want. I am of the opinion if you prayed already 11 rak'at, you've maxed out. You've prayed 11 rak'at with the Imam, you've maxed out. Khalas, you've done the most you could do in the night. Because the Prophet ﷺ did not pray more than 11 rak'at or 13 if you want to add the sunnah of Isha. He did not pray more than 13 rak'at, including the sunnah of Isha, not in Ramadan, not outside of Ramadan. That's the opinion I take. So the remaining of the night, you could do dhikr, you could recite the book of Allah, you could make dua, you could memorize Quran, you could memorize a matan that you're trying to memorize, you could whatever, but not salah. That's just me. You ask someone else, he will tell you, akhi, knock yourself out and pray another 40 rak'at, barakallah feek. Bainak wa bain Allah. Mali shughul. What will be the class times during the last 10 days of Ramadan as Qiyam al-Layl will be there? To me, it's not going to change because I don't go to Qiyam al-Layl as I just explained in the previous question. But I wanted to make a disclaimer. You guys know regarding countries and governments and politics, everybody should be familiar with my stance and my protocol and what have you. I am neutral. I don't really praise governments, just like I don't criticize governments. I don't praise the people in charge, just like I don't call out the people in charge. I just, follow the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ to mind my business. Because I don't want to be also a person who's pushing for something that might have issues. But we are commanded in Islam, to speak the truth and to be fair. And I wanted to share with you what happened tonight. Now, Samsung had an iftar for all the employees. We had a community iftar at a very cheap hotel. I'm being sarcastic. And the closest masjid where I prayed is in the masjid inside DQ. Now, where is DQ? For those of you who don't know, diplomatic quarters in Riyadh is where all the embassies of the world are. So, you know how in different countries, the embassies of various countries are different places? No. Here in Riyadh, they have one area where all the embassies are. It is the most secure, highly secured place within Riyadh, probably, outside of the royal palaces and what have you. Even entering there, you cannot just enter there. They have a checkpoint and they have, all these tanks, and it's like soldiers all over the place with guns and what have you, right? So this place is very highly secure, highly monitored, highly surveilled, and it is very cool actually. The masjid in the dua of al-qunut, the Imam was saying by word, oh Allah, help our Palestinian brothers. Oh Allah, upon you are the Zionists, the Zionist criminals. Oh Allah, kill them one by one, destroy them one by one, and do not leave a single one of them alive. So this propaganda that you've been hearing by the haters for years that you're not allowed to make dua for Palestinians, and if you're wearing the kufiya or the kayfiya, what do you call it? They go into this, that, and they know not nobody in the haram, you cannot say all this is wallahi kadhib, lies. Because I hear it in my local masjid all the time, but this is a regular masjid. It's a regular masjid among millions maybe of masajid in in Saudi. But for the one to be in DQ, meaning all the diplomats, all the people of all the ambassadors of the countries pray in that masjid. This masjid is actually very high profile. This masjid is where all the ambassadors of the various countries, they live in DQ, and they pray there. And this is the dua of the Imam in the Salah. So when someone tells you anytime someone says this country does not this and this country does not do that, please take a step back and do not believe everything that is being said to you. Do not believe the hatred and the propaganda that the people have. And I'm not saying this to defend anyone, but this is the truth that you have to hear, because I know I've heard the other side. And wallahi, it's sad. It's sad. طيب, inshallah, we'll call it a day. Malakat bala battikh ya Sheikh. Do we have a class tomorrow, inshallah? Yeah, we have a class tomorrow, inshallah. I don't think I have anything tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow, bi'idhnillah azza wa jal. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.